Good evening, folks, and welcome back to day number 53 of the Bible in 365. Today we are taking a look at Numbers chapter 31, picking up in verse 48, and we're exploring all the way to Numbers chapter 33, ending in verse 56, which does happen to be the end of the chapter. We've got a lot to talk about today, folks, so let's go ahead and get started. Picking back up in Numbers chapter 31. Within this chapter, we have seen how the Lord seeks vengeance upon Midian, and so 12,000 Israelites, 1,000 from each clan, go out and destroy the Midianites. They return with plunder, and this plunder is divided up 50-50. 50% goes to the warriors, 50% goes to the congregation of Israel, and from each of these come a particular percentage, which is given to the Levites and to the Lord as an offering. Picking up in verse 48 through verse 54, here at the end of the chapter, it tells us essentially the officers go to do a body count and to see how many soldiers they've lost. They realize that they haven't lost anyone, so they come forth and bring an atonement before the Lord and make an offering for their atonement. And so they bring 16,750 shekels worth of gold. That's about 450 pounds. Moses and Eleazar then take this into the tent, and it is to be used as a memorial for the people of Israel before the Lord. Right, moving along to Numbers chapter 32. Numbers chapter 32 tells us that the Reubenites and the Gadites want to settle in the land that they have just conquered, because the land of Gilead and Jazer are essentially good for livestock, and they were shepherds. And so they come before Moses and Eleazar and ask if they can have this land as their inheritance and not cross over to the Jordan. This is a bit concerning to Moses, and he essentially tells, the Reubenites and the Gadites, hey, your fathers did this when I sent them to Kadesh Barnea to see the land, and they discouraged the people from going into the land, and that's why we got driven into the wilderness and they all died. And so take that as a warning. You will destroy all the people if you do this. And so the Reubenites and Gadites say, well, what we want to do is different. What we want to do is build up fortified cities and pens for our livestock on this side, but then the men will send across the Jordan before the congregation of Israel to do their part and help drive out the enemies. And then we will return once your land, the inheritance that the Lord has given us, is subdued. And then we will take our inheritance from this side of the Jordan. And so Moses essentially agrees to this and says, that's fine, but if you do not do so, your sin will find you, and the Lord will find you. And so anyways, what ends up happening is Moses tells this information to Eleazar and to Joshua, so that when Moses himself is gone and is passed on, that they will be aware of this agreement. So Moses gives them this land, and then he also divides up the land for half the tribe of Manasseh. And the chapter tells us specifically what counties or regions each particular clan and ancestral tribe settles in. Moving forward to Numbers chapter 33. Numbers chapter 33 is essentially just a recounting of the travels of Israel since they left Egypt. It notes every spot that they have stopped and traveled to on their journey up until the current moment, right there outside of Jericho, being across the Jordan from Jericho. And it is here that we get to see kind of just a quick glimpse of what that road looked like, and we can map it out based on this. Now, at the end of this chapter, A few things that are important is the Lord speaks to Moses, and Moses gives these commands to the Israelites, essentially that the people, the Israelites, are supposed to drive out the people of the land of Canaan when they pass over the Jordan, and they're supposed to destroy all of the idols, all of the stone images, all the metal images when they take the land, and they're supposed to drive the people out, whether that means kill them or just force them to leave. And they will inherit this land. The land will be divided up essentially based on a lottery system, and larger clans should get larger portions of inheritance so that it's fair and just. And then also it talks about consequences. So if the Israelites do not drive out the people and do not follow the Lord's instructions, get rid of the graven images, the stone images, then essentially what ends up happening is the Lord says that what he was going to do and would do to the people of the land, he will end up doing to the Israelites. And so it's here with this set of instructions and this cryptic warning, to obey the Lord. Else, destruction come upon you. That we end our reading for tonight. Tomorrow we will pick up our reading as we take a look at Numbers chapter 34 through Numbers chapter 36. So we will finish off the book of Numbers, and then we are also going to take a look at Deuteronomy chapter 1, verses 1 through 15. All right, folks. Hope you'll join me tomorrow. And as always, God bless.